All right, guys, and welcome back. So we're talking about nutrition today. Now, nutrition is easily the area that most people get wrong and they struggle with. And it's largely because we've built up a foundation of habits that aren't conducive to building the best body possible. Bear in mind that this will typically take a few weeks to start to get right. When we're talking about nutrition, there's two ways that you can do it. There's meal planning and there's tracking through apps. So starting off with meal prep, this is how I do it, and I'll provide some other alternatives as to how you can do it as well. I typically do it on a 7-day split. It breaks my week up nicely. I know how much food I need to calculate. And in the meal plan that I would have provided for you, there's a shopping list in there that's integrated so that you already know how much to get each week. In doing it over 7 days, I would usually shop on a Friday or Saturday, and then I would break that up and I would do my cooking on a separate day. So let's say I have 3 meals. I have one meal for breakfast, it might be eggs, and then I have a beef dish and a chicken dish to keep it really simple for you. I would do all my shopping for those on the Friday. I would then cook maybe the chicken dish on the Saturday and the beef dish on the Sunday. And in doing that, it feels like I'm just making 2 home-cooked dinners. That preps me for the rest of the week. Once I've made these 2 dinners, I will freeze 4 of the meals, and then I will refrigerate 3 of the meals. The reason we do this is because after 3 days, the food starts to go a bit rank, and we don't want that, obviously. Switching out from the freezer to the fridge, so as you take one out for your day of consumption, you take one out of the freezer, put it in there. By the time you get to consuming that meal 2 days later, it will have defrosted properly. It won't taste like rubber because it's not been forced defrosted, and it's gonna be good to go. Now, the reason I find meal prepping the most accurate and effective way is because it's all streamlined. It takes out all of the guesswork, and if it's easy, I'm going to stick to it more and I'm going to be more adherent. The meal plans that are also prescribed reduce your margin of error to basically 0. And the closer we can get to 100% adherence and accuracy, the more likely you're going to see the best composition changes in yourself. Now, some other ways that you can do this is you can either do it on a 3-day split and do Monday through to Wednesday as one prep, Thursday through to Saturday, and then have the Sunday off. And having 1 day off or 3 meals per week off is typically what I recommend because of metabolic flexibility and overall hormone health and general mood, to be honest. Because as soon as we start going too strict with the plan, it stops being enjoyable. And if it's not gonna be enjoyable, then we're not gonna stick to it in the long term. And it's about building healthy, sustainable habits. I find that you can do 1 day at a time, but again, this requires more effort and energy. If it's taking more energy on top of an already busy work schedule that you likely have, on top of already the new stimulus from the training and perhaps cardio that's been allocated to you as well, this can be a bit cumbersome. But by all means, if you have that capacity to freshly cook a meal, that would be the top recommendation. Now, your second option is actually tracking this through a meal tracker app. So MyFitnessPal is perhaps the most common one, but you also have MacroFactor, Chronometer, and a few others which do similar sort of things. These are really good if you want that additional flexibility and you're gonna be having some variety on a day-to-day basis. For example, if you're traveling and you wanna make sure that you're hitting your macro goals, then going to the shops, you can scan items, you can input them manually because you won't be able to do the meal prep. This can be a really effective alternative. The only caveat to doing this through a meal tracking app, you're more likely to not hit your macro goals. What tends to happen is that we'll overconsume in fats, we'll underconsume in protein. So think about this for a second. If I allocate you 200 grams of protein and you're tracking it through an app and you hit 150 grams that day, now 150 grams might not seem like a lot. Now, if you look at it through the perspective of that's 25% less protein and less nutrients that you're giving your body to build muscle and grow, that's gains that you're leaving on the table and growth that you're potentially leaving on the table as well. Now, we're all about pushing all the dials up so that we're maximizing this, right? So we want to be making sure that we're hitting our targets to a T, if not going a little bit over. Now, if you do decide to do the meal prep or you do your tracking, in terms of spices, I have no issue with how much spices you use on your food plans. Go nuts. You're not going to overspice. There's not going to be an issue there. There's no calories in them, so don't worry about that. Do what it takes to make them tasty. In terms of sauces, add these minimally And if you do have a lower calorie alternative, then that's best. Personally, I'm a fan of sriracha sauce. It's low calorie, it adds a bit of zing to my meals, and I know I don't have to worry about it too much. Just be conscious that whenever you do add sauces, that's additional calories, and it's likely mostly fat as well. But what should you do if you fall off plan? So if you're falling off plan, here's exactly what I would do. I wouldn't let it happen for more than 2 days, because after 2 days and we start to regress on the habits that we've worked so hard to build on, all that might take is a message to myself, hey Greg, didn't have a chance to do my shopping this week, what should I do? I can send you over some alternatives. Maybe it's some quick, easy tuna and rice, or it's ready to go meals, or it's some overnight oats. There are quick solutions that you can sub in to tick that box for you in the short term. Now, if you're traveling, this is going to be a bit more difficult. And that's simply because your access to food, generally speaking, is going to be tougher. So message me when you get into these situations and we can find alternatives. If it's short trips away, then that's no issue at all. I would typically say have that time off, but let's front load our time before we go on these trips. If we know we're going away on a Saturday for 3 days, let's be 100% diligent up until the Saturday, and then enjoy your time off and just be conscious when you are away. But the number one thing with nutrition is about keeping your adherence super high. So 85% plus is what my expectation is for you. And that works out to be, if you have 3 meals a day throughout the week, 21 meals, that's 3 free meals per week. If you can nail it at 85%, I have no doubt that you're going to see the growth that you're looking for. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.